So last time I talked about draft 0. I sat down at that computer over there in order to start writing a script, a sitcom script that I'm writing called The Lab. It's set in a forensics lab and I want it to be a studio sitcom. That's the plan. I've spent quite a lot of time thinking about it, thinking about the characters, plotting it out and everything. I did an outline where I plotted out all of the stories, put them together, did a scene by scene. I've probably made videos on this, and don't worry, I'll make some more videos on this at some point. And so by the time I was sitting down to write draft 0, which, as a recap from the last video, is a secret draft that I don't show anybody. It's just for me. I just sort of want to get to the end and then I'll go through it and tidy it up and make sure it's better. Some people call it a vomit pass, which is not a particularly pleasant way of describing it, but I get it. So I sat down with a document. I had 19 scenes and I think the document was about 3,000 words. And bear in mind that the actual finished script is probably only going to be about 5,500 words. So I've already done an awful lot of the heavy lifting, and writing the script should almost be a question of joining the dots, although it's always a bit more complicated than that. Because there is these little sort of secret things where you just think, oh, I'll think of something for that, or I'll put something there. And then you get to the moment and it's not feeling very funny. And I'll have half a dozen of those moments this morning as I'm sitting at my desk writing the script. But let me just tell you how it went last time. So I spent a day on the script. At least I got to about 3 o'clock before I got completely sick to death of it. And I wrote about 10 pages, which was great. But here's an interesting thing. I wrote scene 1 and it was not exactly as it was in the outline, but I covered everything that was in the outline. I just ended up doing it in a different order because once the characters start talking, the script, the scene, the sitcom, everything starts to take on a life of its own. That's good. You want that. That's good. The characters now almost feel like they exist, and you as the writer are describing them and writing down what they're saying rather than just sort of worrying about what they're going to say next. So that's a good sign. And then what happened, I finished scene 1, I got onto scene 2, and I had one of the characters in another situation after the big main meeting at the start. And I just thought, oh, what's he doing now? Why is he, this scene doesn't feel like it's necessary. I don't know how to, it just feels like we've kind of covered this. I don't think we need that. It just feels like we're just going to slow it right down. So here's what I did. I got rid of scene 2, just didn't bother, just went on to scene 3. And you can do that, that's allowed. You don't need to slavishly follow your outline because no, I'm going to stick to the plan. And some people are just naturally like that. I've made a plan, I'm going to stick with it. I'm married to someone who's like that. And that's brilliant. You need people who stick to a plan because the plan was made for a reason. I'm not like that. I'm like, oh, I don't like the plan anymore. I'll do something else. So I'm in danger of chucking plans away too quickly. But in this case, I was like, I don't think scene 2 is necessary. I think I know why I thought I needed it, but I don't think I do. So I just went straight on to scene 3. And so sometimes if you just hit a scene that isn't going to work, you already know I don't like this. Don't write it. Just ignore it. Just move on. I mean, you could start the scene and then leave it unresolved and then come back to it later. But actually, how about just trying the script without that scene? Or if there's only really one key piece of information in that scene, because sometimes I think that's the problem. We've put a scene in order to convey information, and it doesn't have the necessary thing that a scene has, which is a character comes in with a quest wanting one thing, and that quest is then moderated by someone else in the scene, and then they have to go off in a slightly different direction. It doesn't feel to me like the scene was probably doing that, and so I got rid of it. So that is what I'm going to do again. It wouldn't surprise me if I hit scene 5 or 6 and just think, oh, I don't like this scene, don't think we need it. I've got 19 scenes, which for a studio sitcom is probably a bit much anyway. And sometimes once your characters are talking and the story's going, you might discover that what you've planned is overwritten and there's too much of it. And normally, I think that's the case. But that's a better problem to have than essentially sitting down and having to pull funny stuff out of the air because you just don't really have enough material on the page, on that blank page. And suddenly you've left yourself an awful lot of work to do. I think in golf parlance, you know, you've left yourself with a really long putt and you don't really want that. You want to get as close to the flag as you can. So why am I using golf analogies? This is just not a very good idea. So that's the situation report from the Situation Room on my script progress that I'm just blogging about as I'm going through it. And I'll see how I get on today, and I'll probably come across something else that I'll tell you about next time. Anyway, good luck everyone. This is the Situation Room. My name still is James Carey. And if you want more advice on sitcom writing, then go to my blog, The Situation Room. There's a link below, and subscribe to this, and you'll be hopefully alerted by the algorithm may graciously present you with another one of my videos. Anyway, until then, cheerio.